Is Ely?
It's Haley with an H.
Oh, okay. Hi, Ely. Yeah, sorry about the missed phone call. Sometimes my cell phone doesn't ring or whatever. And actually, it happens quite a bit, and then I had to go on the app and go, there was a missed call here, and it didn't vibrate or anything.
Right.
And so, anyways,
Yeah, you're good.
we finally connected, so that works, and I,
Right.
I appreciate you contacting me, and especially on the holiday, and because I knew a lot of people were, leaving or whatever, and for Thanksgiving. But uh,
Right, of course.
if you've been looking at the messages that I've sent you, uh, that tells a lot, and especially that last one, I was trying to emphasize that how big this is. I mean, it's a lot bigger than, it's this one system, one burglar house, whatever. This, as far as I'm concerned, this is a nationwide crime network, and these unique crimes are going on all over the country. And I think that's pretty proven with 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic since I was ambushed and shot reporting people in the attic. And
Right.
and so but then myself personally here, I've been up against this public corruption problem, and so as you've probably seen, I hadn't even had my system armed in years. I mean, it's literally been years, and that was all because the city threatened to fine me when if Vivint called them to my attic, and when they got here, they refused to look. And at two different times. And I think more of that was political and based on it. I mean, I think it's obvious. It's obvious they know that there's $1 million underground homes here that were put in for, the George Bush. I mean, that's pretty clear. And they were hosting parties for international oil shows. I think that's real obvious. It's just the secret everybody knows about is what it is. And because you can see it on Google Maps, and I've documented it. I've documented multiple people saying they're here, and then not to mention there's absolute proof somebody under my home shot me. And here's the other side of that is, and I don't know if you caught that when I read that, these crimes have never stopped, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, it is ever. I mean, there is literally somebody in this house every single day. Okay, and a lot of people's first question: why don't you do something about it? Right? I mean, that's pretty normal. And the reason is because I was ambushed and shot. I tried to do something about it. I reported it to the police several times, and I tried to do something about it. And the day that I was shot, I know this now. I didn't know it then. I had trapped one of these burglars, what I call them burglars, in a bathroom. Okay, and of course I was on the other side of the door with a gun and every right to protect my life and property. And then I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home, not realizing there was somebody under my home, because this home doesn't have any known basement. And with my phone lines cut, they tried to kill me in my house, and I believe they killed the guy that lived here before me. But then when I returned from the hospital, it was 10 days later. Now I'm disabled, ended a 28-year career with my company. And I find these pictures of police in my house on the security cameras that I installed because of the crimes that were going on. And so I ordered the police report, and I found that I didn't get a police report showing any police here. So I had pictures of police, but I didn't have a report saying who they were or if they were even police. Okay, so I send these pictures to the mayor and the chief of police and the sheriff and the attorney general of Texas and the district attorney, and nobody would name them. And I finally nicknamed them the secret police, and offered a $2,000 reward. That's never happened before in the history of America. that a crime victim offered a reward to identify police. Okay, I can't get a news story in the nation. Okay, 6 years goes by, 6 years of death threats, repeated break-ins to my home, and people coming up to me saying, "I'd sell that home if I was you," because they're trying to terrorize me out of the home, out of my home, because it is rigged, just like I said, because there is an underground home in the backyard, and they, as I said, they murdered a little girl there in 2010 at one of the oil show parties. Previous homeowner died the week before the 2008 oil show started. And so anyway, in 2018, a private investigator collected the reward money and identified all 11 of those police. Okay, it's incredible. 11 police. Okay, so literally, they're looking at life in prison, and that's one reason I think law enforcement doesn't want to do anything. And so the first one that showed up at my house was a sheriff from a whole nother county. Okay, that's amazing and stuff. The second one showed up was a sheriff deputy, and he ends up dying 4 years later in 2014 during the line of duty, supposedly. And the public was never told. I had a reward offered for his identity. He was the secret police. Another one that was inside my home, seen on camera 2 months after Naylor died. He's alleged to have murdered his wife and killed himself. Okay, and so once again, the public was never told I had a reward for his identity as a secret police, right? I didn't even know it at the time. I didn't have proof anyway. And so what we got now, we have 2 police officers or 2 secret police dead, and the policeman's wife connected back to the murder attempt of my life, connected back to the murder of the last guy that lived here. Plus the murder of the little girl at the oil show party in 2010. This is crazy. Okay, I mean, it literally is crazy. Okay, and so I'm gonna go a little bit more here. I'm gonna show you, let you know how big this is. In 2019, I contacted Homeland Security because I believe this is connected to human trafficking. Are you still with me? Hello.
Yes, I'm still with you.
Okay, so I contacted Homeland Security in 2019, and I provided them a packet of evidence, which it's incredible the amount of evidence I have, and the reason I contacted them because I was told about the little girl that was murdered at the party, at the underground party, or at the party that didn't refuse to prostitute. So that was forced prostitution, human trafficking, and so I suspect this is a human trafficking crime ring, and that's why I contacted Homeland. Okay, so on July 2nd, 2019, Homeland contacted me and wanted me to meet them at the Home Depot store, which is directly behind my house. Okay, and I had already provided them a map that I had found on Google Earth maps, on the historical maps. I went back into time, and what I found was a map that looked like, where it's real clear, where it looks like a ditch was cut or a tunnel was cut coming from the back of Home Depot directly at my house. I believe that's how the people were going to the oil show party. Okay. Anyway, so I meet Homeland over there at the Home Depot store, and I'm thinking, finally we can get justice here, and then get something done. And I get over there, and the Homeland agent surprises me, and he says, "I don't know why you don't sell that home if you're living under the threat of death," because they're threatening my life. It just totally caught me off guard, and that here's a law enforcement officer saying that, and so I have to explain the Hobbs Act to him. And the Hobbs Act says that it's against federal law for any group to conspire to terrorize a homeowner into selling their property. It's 20 years in prison. What he just did can get him sent to prison for 20 years, trying to get me to talk and sell my home. And I compared it to a bank being robbed and the police being called and the police showing up going, "I don't know why you don't sell this bank." It's ridiculous, but that's what's going on. Okay. 2 weeks later, after I showed Homeland where I believe this human trafficking murder tunnel was located at, I come home and the ground's being dug up and they're pouring concrete back there. But I get it on video. Okay. This goes viral. I have this worldwide following. Okay. It's incredible. Here, I contacted Homeland. I showed them where this tunnel, I believe, is located that's connected to multiple murders. And next thing they know, they're pouring concrete, or somebody's pouring concrete. But, that's the opposite of what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to stop human trafficking, not help it, And so, anyways, that video goes viral. 2 weeks later, U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway from Midland surprise announces his retirement. Come to find out, his brother-in-law used to live across the street from this house. Okay. Keep in mind, I was told that there were 4 3-bedroom homes costing over $1 million, buried 25 foot deep, and I was told they were having pedophile parties down there. Okay, that's on a recorded phone call. That was a secretly recorded phone call. So, anyways, 3 months after this viral video of them pouring concrete to cover up this human trafficking murder tunnel behind my house, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland resigns. And 6 days later, U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry resigns. And Perry used to be governor of Texas. He was the governor when these parties were going on. And what I believe is happening, or has been happening, is that some multi-billion-dollar oil companies that were involved in the underground parties during the oil show, right when the murder was happening, they're bribing or leaning on people like U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, saying, you need to cover this up. This ain't good for stock price, Rick. And when they go do it, they get caught on camera because I film it. Okay. And so, as far as I'm concerned, now they're looking at the death penalty. That's how big this is. I mean, this is huge. And then the fact that, I said this morning on a video, the fact that I've identified 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic since I was ambushed and shot, reporting people in the attic, that's a national news story. I mean, it is. That's all there is to it. But we're not seeing that. There's no news stories at all. And the crimes against me continue day after day after day. And all these other homeowners. Okay. Your part is, of course, the Vivint side, is that later that year, I got, had a Vivint tech come to my door, just ring on my door out of the blue, and I'm telling them the same story I tell everybody. And, well, I tell you what, this will give you more evidence, and so, it's expensive. Of course, you got to keep in mind, now I'm disabled, living on a fixed income, etc., But I decided to go ahead. I agree to put the Vivint system in only if they install it in my attic. Okay. And so which they agreed. And then so they put it in there, and it's up there next to my other systems I had, motion detectors and the camera system, etc. And so the other systems keep going off. I can hear people moving around. They can't move around without, somebody noticing. And but the Vivint system's just sitting there stupid, And so I call Vivint up and, going, it's not working here, And no, there's no way, it's not possible to hack it or whatever, but this continues. And then the second time I called Vivint, and the other alarms are going off in the background. Beep, 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 beep. And I said, do you hear that? That's my security system going off. And your system is sitting here not doing anything. And I was shot inside my home, with burglar alarms going off. So anyway, Vivint come back over again, and this time, we'll add another motion detector for you or whatever. That's when we went from the 4th one to 5th one. And that's when I figured out that the tech with his computer could add that motion detector, enable or disable the motion detector, and it never shows up on my logs. And I'm going, that's how they're doing it right there. That's how they're disabling it. So they disable it and they walk around, move around, whatever. But then you go to test it, they'll just turn it back on, Boom. Oh, now it works, see? And then, of course, they've been calling me crazy. So what's been, he's crazy. You think people are attic, And that worked before I had all the evidence I do, you know. But I mean, now nobody can say that. But anyways, after the second call for Vivint, the very next day, I think it was the next day, uh, it dispatched the police to my house, you know. And I think what it was is, you know, it just got to the point where, you know, if the Vivint system, it would become blatantly clear the Vivint system was being hacked, you know. And what the text, oh, we found a programming error. And I'm going, oh, bull crap, you know. I mean, 3 different times before it works, you know. But anyway, then the police get here on December 9th, 2012. And they refused to even go up in the attic and look. You know, I didn't call them out. Y'all's system did. It was a valid call. You know, there was somebody here. Your system worked. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. And then the police get here and they refuse to look. And I believe on that call was Chad Simpson. He was the cop that ended up going on to murder his wife and kill himself. And then I later found out he was one of the secret police that was in my home when I was shot back in January 2012. The other thing on that first call from Vivint on the police report, you see where it comes in the police report, and then the police change the call from an alarm call to a warrant call, and then they change it back to an alarm call. Okay, they were going to arrest me, and I'm the crime victim. And I didn't even call them. Vivint called them. Okay, and the other thing I want you to understand that, you know, when I'm shot, I was a 28-year company man, homeowner, granddad. You know, I could come down here, led the United Way drive for 10 years, whatever. Never had a felony. I'm not a cop hater. I'm a supporter of law enforcement. We have a police corruption problem. They're covering up these crimes, you know, is what's going on. And so, anyways, that police report, I didn't get that until 2019, and that was like 7 years later. It was subpoenaed in 2013, and they illegally withheld it, along with the police report from the night of the murder attempt. The reason I think is because it had that, because they had that where they changed it to a warrant. This is why I think they illegally withheld it. Anyways, 10 days after that came the second call. The Vivint system goes into alarm, dispatches the police. Again, this is all in that video showing on December 19, 2012. Police are dispatched again. They come over here, and once again, they refuse to go up in the attic and look. Okay, and then you can see on the police report where they're calling me crazy. Basically, I mean, they sit there and comment. He thinks people are in the walls. That was a comment that was made. And what the real truth is, I think that was an inside joke, because that's how they're rigging these homes. They modify a wall, okay, that has crawl space. They come under the home, and then they go up into the attic with basically a hidden door or whatever, and it gives them hidden access to a home 24/7. Okay, so they can come and go without being seen all they want. Okay, then they steal heating and cooling, electricity from the homeowner. Okay, and so there is a theft of services. They're not stealing TVs, jewelry, whatever. You know, they're stealing services along with threatening your life. And if you try to stop them, they'll kill you. Is basically what happens, or it's my experience. And I think that all these homes are doing it. I think the tunnels is coming from a nearby neighbor's house. I identified a suspected tunnel entrance in my neighbor's backyard. Once again, I found it on Google Maps, and when I made a point of it, it got taken out. You know, you can see it. It's right on Google Maps, you know, where it was there, and then it's gone, you know. And it was put in around the time that the last homeowner died. I've wondered if that neighbor wasn't involved in, you know, in the death of the last guy that lived here. There was another suspected tunnel entrance that was on the backside of Home Depot, which was there was 2 side-by-side manholes there, and the lid of one of them was off for a couple years. And I sent a picture to the chief of police here. What I was seeing at the time was truckers were showing up in that secluded truck unloading lane, staying a little bit, and leaving 24/7. And this was going on in the middle of the night, holidays. It was when the store wasn't even open and nobody was there. Okay, and these trucks, 18-wheelers, are showing up, staying a little bit, and leaving. And then after this happens for several years, you can tell that the people in the attic are going down and meeting the truckers. Okay, I believe it was like a truck stop, like lot lizards, like organized prostitution, and I think that's what was going on. I think the people in the attic were going over meeting the truckers. I don't believe that happens anymore, because I made a point of it on on Facebook, my videos, and they poured concrete back there, and I got that on video. They're pouring concrete right where I show them where this other suspected tunnel entrance is. And so, anyways, even here earlier, I'll say about right after, we were going to wait 2 hours, and you were going to call me back, and I decided to take a little nap. I turned the light off, and then as soon as I did, I noticed that there was a light on in my attic, and I have a motion security light on my attic. Really, if you put a motion light on in your attic, it should never go off for 30 years. This one goes off every day, okay? And there's a little hole above my TV where wires come through that I can see it. And so when I flipped my light off earlier, I was like, oh, there's a light on in the attic, which happens every day. And I thought, well, I'm going to make a video of it. And by the time I had my camera up, that light went off, But I've got about 100 other ones of it, I mean, it happens all the time, I mean, as far as the people in this house that are breaking in this house, whatever, they know I know they're here. There is no doubt about it. I've got so many stories you can't even imagine, of them falling down, or other people in my house, and these burglar alarms going off, and in the bathtub taking a picture of making a video of my foot, burglar alarms go off in my attic. I mean, just so much evidence. It's to the point of absurdity, and lawlessness is what's happening here. But I think from Vivint's standpoint, since you're in the home security business, and this is a nationwide, network of homes. And I think the 50 that I identified, that's the tip of the iceberg. I bet you there's 1,000 out there, if not more of them, And I suspect they're all connected to a same mutual crime network, and done in a similar manner. They're there's a tunnel coming from a neighbor's house, whatever, going under a home. They modify a wall where there's a crawl space, a normal wall you couldn't crawl up or whatever, and that's what's going on. I've estimated cost savings probably around $2,000 a month, per home, because I mean, if we're talking about rent and utilities, taxes, etc., this is a very profitable crime. And if you're a human trafficker, you have you got to pay somewhere to store your product, which is humans, and motels and rent is expensive. Okay, but you go rig a home, okay, and then you start using it like they're doing here, then it's free for life. I suspect they're paying off some corrupt police or whatever, and that's what's causing that. Or even bigger than that, though, because I can't even explain why our whole entire press in America has covered up this story, because this is a huge story. I mean, it should have been national news a long time ago, and the crimes and everything. Part of it might be because I was told that it was put in for George H.W. Bush. And I'll tell you that. After I'm shot, I didn't know that there was all these other homeowners reporting people in the attic. I also didn't know about the tunnels and underground facilities. Okay. I just didn't know what happened. It was the ex-wife that had first said, while we was together, she says, "You think they're coming from the ground?" And I was like, "From the ground?" I'd never even heard of that, But then after I'm shot, a woman calls me on the phone, and I secretly record her telling me that there's 4 3-bedroom homes buried at least 25 foot deep, each costing over $1 million a piece. Okay. She said they were having pedophile parties down there. That's a video called $1 Million Underground Homes. I sent y'all a link to a video called Proof of Underground Homes and Tunnels, and it has this list in there. Okay. Another woman on Facebook, we're talking. Her name's Rhonda Denman Rogers, and I said, "There's an underground facility somewhere near here," and she writes back and goes, "I know, it's a half block away." Okay, I print screen it for proof. Okay. Another guy contacts me, Ricky Ronaldo, Ricky, I think it's Ronaldo. I've got his name anyway. But he says, "I used to live in that home." I said, "Oh, yeah?" He said, "Yeah, me and my brother used to go in the tunnels under it when we was kids." I print screened it for proof. There's 3 people right there. Okay. And then the woman called me a CAD programmer from Houston, because this is famous. This whole story's getting famous. And I talked to her on the phone. I talked to her on Facebook, and she says, "I worked on that project." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And she says, "Yeah." She says, "We finished in 1987. We had a budget of $7.35 million on permit, and it was called the Safe House Project, and it was put in for then Vice President George H.W. Bush. That was when Reagan was president. And the Bushes are from Midland. That's where I'm at. It's Midland. Okay." This, like I said, this is print screens and recording proof. She named the company that she worked for on a recording. I have a video called Bush Safe Houses, Underground Safe Houses. That's a video, that's this proof video. There's a whole nother person saying that these underground homes are there. Okay. And I asked her, I said, "Did you have to sign a do not disclosure agreement, And she said, "Oh, I had to sign more stuff from that job, every job I ever worked on. And so there's another person, okay? And then last year during the election for our sheriff, because our other sheriff died, and he was a famous Texas sheriff, long-term sheriff, ex-Texas Ranger, literally famous. His name is Gary Painter. And he died, so we have an election, and I'm contacting all of the candidates that are running for sheriff. I had contacted Painter like 26 times via email, fact-filled emails, never got a reply back. But here I'm on the phone, and I'm talking to one of the guys that are running for sheriff, Midland Sheriff, named Joe Lozano. And I'm telling him the same thing I'm telling you. I have all this evidence, all these people documented. Okay, and he stops me at the end of the phone call. He says, buddy, that was Painter's hideout." And I had the recorder going. That's a YouTube video. I recorded a sheriff candidate confirming these $1 million underground homes are here. Okay. Then another person, if that ain't enough, another person contacts me, and she says, "Go look up your address on Google Maps." And so if you did it, I don't know if you've done it, but you just go to Google Maps and maps.google.com, put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle, and look in my backyard. And you'll see on the block screen, there's a large building. But you flip over to the satellite screen from above, you don't see it. You walk outside, you don't see it. That's one of the 4 underground homes. Okay, that's where the parties were going on. Okay. One other story. In 2010, I was dating this woman that worked in my building at Claydessa. Okay, Angie McGee Hurley is her name. These guys approached her, and they told her that she was going to be working at the parties going on during the oil show. That's a big deal here, okay? The Permian Basin International Oil Show. It's a convention, like they have in Vegas for industry convention, okay? And this industry in oil and gas is super millionaire billionaires, okay? A lot of money here. I mean, a lot of money. And these parties that go on after hour parties are famous for prostitution, drugs, etc. Okay, and there's 10,000 people flying here from all over the world in the oil industry. Okay, and so during the week of the oil show, which is October every 2 years, October 2010, Angie was here at my house. She would leave my house and be at the location of the parties in 5 minutes. I know this because we were talking on the phone as she drove there. That can be verified by phone records. Okay, well, here's where I believe, and I know this to be true, with the other evidence. She was driving from here to Home Depot, parking there, and going underground somewhere in that store, coming back to my home via the tunnel that you can see, like I told you about a minute ago, that's now filled full of concrete thanks to Homeland Security, right? And in my backyard is one of the 4 underground homes. I believe this is where the oil show parties were being held, in these $1 million underground homes. And that's where that young girl was murdered at, who didn't want to prostitute. Okay. In 2013, a couple years later, the remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl was found outside of Midland. I suspect that's the girl that Angie told me about. Okay. I tried to get Angie to report this murder because that's what normal citizens do. If somebody tells you there's a murder, you go report it. And she was afraid and told me high-level police were also at the party. I believe one of them high-level police was probably Gary Painter, that sheriff I was talking about. Okay. And then I get threatened by a police officer to be arrested if I talk to Angie again. Okay. And I'm trying to get Angie to report a murder she told me about the police were involved in. Okay. So I've never talked to Angie again. The previous owner of my home, he died the week before the 2008 oil show started. And I think that's significant since in the backyard is an underground, home where they were having oil show parties. Okay. A neighbor that lived directly across the street from here named Marilyn DeLuigi told me twice that Mike died in this house. Okay. I get online and I Google it. Okay. And I see that the Odessa American newspaper posted a death notice for him on October 14, 2008, saying he died in Fort Worth. That was his mom's house. Okay. 4 days later, they posted a second death notice and changed the location of death to say he died at his residence, which is here in Midland at this house. And that confirmed what the neighbor said. I fully believe Mike was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. They had the oil show party the next week, and then I transferred into town the week after that as the next unsuspected homeowner. And then I lived here 2 years and figured out somebody's breaking in this house. Okay. And then I started calling police and started reporting these burglaries, and then boom, I'm shot. You have any questions?
I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. The thing here that, of course, started this was your system dispatched the, police to my home last Wednesday night, right after a tech was here. Actually, Vivint called, wanted to replace the chip in the board. Okay. I didn't even tell him at the time before he got here that, hey, this haven't even been armed in years. You know what I mean? I use it like a backup phone because when they shot me, they cut my phone lines. They tried to kill me, and that's why I kept that system is because it has a emergency phone on it, and for a backup phone just in case. Okay. But anyway, the tech gets here, he does his thing, and he leaves, and then a few minutes later, the police show up. Okay. And there was, whatever dress call sent out. He didn't even know it. Okay. I mean, the tech didn't know it. And I didn't touch the system. He did. Okay. So whatever he did, dispatched the police without his knowledge. Okay. And that is a big deal because in 2019, there was another homeowner here in Midland where his alarm company dispatched the police to his home without his knowledge. And so actually what happened is he has a $1 million house. He's the CEO of an oil company. This guy is David Wilson. And his door alarm goes off and his wife wakes him up and says, somebody's here. There's a burglar. Okay. So he gets his gun and he goes down here. And what it was the cops were out there and he didn't know it. And when the cops opened the door for the second time and the alarm went off, he fired and he shot and killed the cop. Okay. They charged him with manslaughter and now they've got him charged with murder. Okay. His trial's going to be next year because of COVID or whatever. But it all happened because the alarm company dispatched the police to his house without his knowledge. And I'm going, that happened to me twice. 2 times that's happened at my home. Okay, the police shows up, and I had no knowledge. Of course, I didn't shoot a cop, but that same scenario happened. And this last time, obviously the tech did it, or you have a hardware problem, and that's why that was a good reason to talk, because we don't know why that happened. We just know it did happen, and but I suspect that the tech put in a number, and that number is what dispatched the police. That's what I'm guessing, because what I believe happened a few years ago is that a Vivint tech had left me a number, and I had placed it on top of the panel, and then I put that number in on the pad one day because I was going to go in the attic or whatever, and it dispatched the police without my knowledge. Okay, next thing I know, the police showed up. Okay. And so my guess is that number they had given me is what dispatched the police. Okay. But this time here, it was the tech that done it and didn't even know it. Okay. So either we have a hardware malfunction or training issue or whatever, but it's a big issue because, like I said, in the wrong circumstances, a cop got killed because of this, That's not my biggest problem, though. My biggest problem is, I got people breaking in my home, and I can't get anybody to do anything about it. That's definitely. You wouldn't believe the death threats I got. One guy writes me. He says, we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You will be silenced, not if, but when. And I wrote back and I said, when are you going to murder me, Lance? I took a print screen and I emailed that to the chief of police, which was ignored. Another guy told me, says, you have two choices. You can either move or meet God early. That's pretty clear, ain't it? They want me out of this home desperately. Okay. Why? Because it's rigged, like I said, and connected to multiple murders. The murder of that little girl, the murder of the last homeowner, the attempted murder on my life. And so, I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting but that's really the short story,
Okay, well, we do understand your concern, especially after, seeing those videos that you had sent us.
Yeah, the proof is there, and there's actually even more other side stories that, if you're interested, I can tell you about, which are, it is kind of related. There's do you know who Haley Dunn is?
I don't believe I do.
Okay, she's a famous missing murdered child, similar to John Bonet Ramsey. You know who that is, right?
Right.
Okay, and so anyways, Haley Dunn was nationally famous because she was all the national networks, and for this pretty little Texas cheerleader that went missing in 2010. Okay, she actually reported missing in December 2010. That was 2 months after the old show parties where I was told the little girl was murdered. Okay, so on March 14th, 2013, I emailed the Department of Justice Safe Child Project, and I suggested they send somebody here, they find these underground homes, and they look for clues in the disappearance of Haley Dunn. Okay. 2 days later, her remains are found in Scurry County. Okay, she'd been missing for over 2 years. As soon as I suggested that they come here, we found her. Don't go to Buddy's house. Okay, that's suspicious, right? That's not proof, but that's suspicious. The timing is suspicious. Now, here we are, all these years later, because I have this, incredible social media, thing with, 5,000 friends on Facebook and these million views, all that. Anyway, I've documented more than 10 people saying that Haley was killed in Odessa. Okay, kidnapped in Colorado City, which is 80 miles from here, taken to Odessa to be pimped out. Okay, I think it's connected to the same type of people, and then overdosed. Okay, Odessa's Ector County, and this is who, where, when, how, etc. can't get a news story in the nation. Okay, they recently arrested the boyfriend of the mother or whatever, ex-boyfriend of the mother, and none of them 10 even said he was there. Okay, but they have said who was there. It was some gang members, some Aryan Brotherhood gang members that had kidnapped Haley over in Colorado City, took her to Odessa. Okay, and so that alone is a huge story in itself. Well, I'm putting all this together, trying to figure out why or whatever, and I find out that Haley's mom was a stripper. Okay, that was kept out of the news. Nobody mentioned that. Well, I mean, that seems to be important information when you got this famous missing murdered child, you know. But here's the deal: it makes sense that all the strippers in this area were told they were going to work at the oil show parties. Okay, because that's a big money maker for them. Okay, just like my friend at work who wasn't even a stripper. Okay, she was ordered or told she was going to be working at the oil show parties, and this meant prostitution. What it meant. Okay, and like the little girl that they murdered that didn't want to prostitute. So one person had contacted me and said, "Buddy, I got it from a good source that Billy, the mother of Haley Dunn, was taking Haley to the strip clubs with her. She was taking this 13-year-old little girl to the strip clubs with her." Okay, so I'm putting this all together. I'm going, if she was taking her to the strip clubs, it just makes sense that she took her to the oil show parties, and that would put Haley Dunn in my backyard in October 2010 at the party where the other little girl was murdered, the party that Angie was at. Okay, this, like I said, if you Google this, you'll see this is a famous case. Okay, and what I believe is the super wealthy people that would be at those parties, the millionaires and billionaires and the cops that were there, the high-level police, they don't want anybody to find out this famous missing murdered child was at a sex party with them. They do anything to keep from, And so thus, like I said, here I come in 2013 and I'm shot, whatever, and I'm suggesting to the Department of Justice, come here, expose underground homes, and look for clues of Haley, and all of a sudden they find Haley. I mean, it's an incredible side story in itself, which is also connected, And another death that's connected, that I believe could be solved. And then, not to mention the law enforcement officers, the 2 secret police that are dead. Some people have wondered if they wasn't killed, if they wasn't going to snitch on the other secret police, and they were murdered and it was blamed on somebody else, covered up, called a murder, suicide, etc. It's crazy what's going on here. This whole story is crazy. And now you'll see why I do have 1 million views, on videos. This story is nuts, and it's fact-based, I mean, and people just can't imagine why the police aren't doing anything, when you can document all these people, document all these homeowners, Vivint standpoint, you can bet that I got a feeling they're hacking your systems at other places, at other homes. Not to mention, when I believe they're hacking it here. I want to finish up on that. I suspected maybe the people that were involved in this hacking of the system, the Vivint system, Googling whatever, there's a home. I live in a small cul-de-sac, only 9 homes, fair circle. The home, I'm at 3802. The home at 3811 was owned by the Martins. It used to be. Okay. And I would hear on my police scanner about drug overdoses there. I even had a guy call me, suggested the people at that house were connected to the crimes here. Okay. And, but one of them people, a couple weeks after the murder attempt on my life, he was in a car and a guy was murdered, was shot in the head. Okay. I wondered if that murder wasn't connected to the same thing going on here. Okay. When I Googled all them people, I found out somebody at that home worked for Vivint. That was on LinkedIn or whatever. I don't have the print screen of that. But one of them people down there, I believe, worked for Vivint. Okay. My next door neighbor at 3804, Tulane Gwen, had told me in 2014 she saw a person in her house. Okay. A burglary. And she called the police, and I went over there, and I was like, "Oh man, I've been having people break my house for years." And so They took fingerprints and all that, and they told her that who it was people from the house at 3811. Okay, based on the fingerprints. Okay, from off the windows or whatever, and and she tells me, because I'm telling her my whole story, and she says, "Yeah, they tried to get me to buy a Vivint system, and I didn't want to buy it. I bought a different system." Okay, and so I'm suspecting, that them systems, that's what they were doing. Like I said, with their software, they can enable and disable the alarms, and you would never see it on your log files, and so it appears nobody's there when somebody's really there. Okay. Let me tell you another story. One of the first other homes that I found out about where they were reporting people in the attic, I heard it on my scanner one day. It was a home on Story Street. Okay, and I went over here and I met this gentleman. He's no longer alive. His name is Klotz, Harold Klotz. And when I'm talking to him, I'm 100% convinced that the same thing's going on in his house is going on in my house. Okay, and I think it's one of the next door neighbors or whatever. Tunnel coming from that house over. He tells me he moved out of his house he owned it for 40 years, but he moved out for 3 or 4 years, and he had family members staying there. And then when he moved back in, that's when these crimes started, and there's people in the attic. And he kept calling the police, and what happens is they label you as crazy, and they won't do anything. And I think we have this police corruption problem. It's intentional. But anyways, I noticed he had an alarm system, like I did. And that panel looked just like my Vivint system, but it was from another company. I think it was First Alarm or something. Okay, and I was thinking, they're doing the same thing at that house as they were doing at my house. They can use that software on their laptop and then enable and disable them. Them motion detectors, and like I said, it appears that nothing's going on because it never shows up in your logs. And I think there is certain police here that are involved, connected with this racketeering. That's what it is. It's organized crime and racketeering, because ultimately it's burglary, theft, and then, of course, murder. Okay, that's ultimately what this is. And it's organized crime and racketeering nationwide. And I think we have some police that are involved, obviously. And so their part of this is when you report these crimes, then they falsely label you crazy. They destroy the life of the crime victim. There was another woman that I met here. I also heard her on the police scanner. It was a call for her. She was reporting people in the attic. I contacted her on Facebook, ended up meeting her. Okay, and then she called me, and I recorded this. This is a YouTube video, another one. And here's this woman, and she's bawling. Okay, on the phone. And this, I think the name of this video is called "Terrorized Homeowner." That's what I called it. And now her name was Jennifer, and she's like, "I'm so freaking scared." And in the background, her burglar alarms are going off. And she's about security systems going off all day long, And the cops come over and laugh at her. And she was going to get a CAT scan. They're calling her crazy. And I'm telling her, no, you're not. What they're not telling you is these crimes are happening all over the place. You're not crazy. They've rigged this home. That's what's going on. And they using technology, and then police corruption. So, anyways, I'm willing. You got any questions? That I'm sure. As I told you on one of the posts, and I'm more than happy for you to contact the FBI and say, look, we got a problem here, and y'all need to do something about it. And which is more than me calling them. Because, I get my names, smeared all over the place, Oh, he's crazy, thinks people in addicts. And it doesn't matter that I have 50 other homeowners documented, or the fact that, it looks like they murdered people, And it's just lawlessness is what I've lived through. And you can't imagine, nobody can imagine what I've lived through. It's just nuts, But it's all out there in 1,000 videos on YouTube. You go out there and you go through my YouTube channel, you'll be blown away, and of them, what's going on. I bet there's 100 videos of burglar alarms going by. And when I say that they're motion detectors or whatever, they go beep, 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 you know. Sometimes I'm in the bathtub, beep, 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 burglar alarm's going on. Or they're the motion lights going on the attic, and I make a video of it, you know. And, or, you know, even hear them, you know. I mean, I've got a video called Talking to the Burglar where I record them actually making a noise, you know, which I hear often. But the thing about noises is, you know, you're not seeing a person. And then I get the other part. Why, you know, how come you hadn't caught them on camera? Well, you know, I finally proved they were hacking the cameras. I sent y'all a link to that, right? I provided that proof video to Homeland Security, the FBI, to DPS, and the sheriff. Okay, there is no doubt. I remember when I was talking to Homeland, I said, I don't have to prove how they were hacking the system to prove they are hacking it. And he says, that's right. And I'm going, that is right. You know, and if you look at that video, I have two different instances. One, I have cameras out front of my house, and I'm feeding the wild cats. Okay, and I'm showing where the cat bowl is full of food, and then boom, the cat bowl is empty. Okay, but no cat ate the food. Okay, and that was the point that I'm making. And what they were doing is remote control into the system, and then freezing the cameras. Hello? 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 I have two calls going. Hello? Can you hear me?
5 for 50% off. In order to avail the discount, kindly...
I don't want that. Hello? Are you still there, Vivint?
Can you still hear me?
Okay, yeah, I had another call come in, and it was a junk call, that's what it was. But then I thought I lost you, is what happened. But it was a second call that had come in on top. And so, anyway, you're there. So, and I sit here and talk all day long, you know, and tell you these stories, you know, that's happened here. And but it should be obvious, pretty obvious by now, that you know what's going on. I mean, especially if you go look at the evidence. And as I was saying, you know, I would highly encourage you to contact the FBI, because this is bigger than my house. You know, it does affect you and your company. You know, I do sincerely think this system was hacked, and I think they were hacking other systems in a similar manner. You know, and sooner or later, this is going to be famous. You know, I just believe that. I mean, you know, with all my heart. You know, it should have been already. You know, and Vivint plays a part in the story, you know. I mean, they do. And so, that's really all I can tell you, you know. Right now, last time I talked to the tech, or talked to your Vivint person after the night, last Wednesday night, you might have seen this in the log files. I think they were going to send somebody over, and we're going to test the system or whatever. But I haven't heard from anybody since then. That was last Wednesday. Okay. You might have already seen that there was low battery alarms. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay. And so she had advised me to pick up some batteries, and then we're going to set up a time, and Tex was going to come back over here, and we're going to test the whole system, whatever, because we're trying to figure out why did it dispatch the police without my knowledge or the tech's knowledge, right? Because that's a problem. But the bigger problem is you know, this house, then where this Vivint system is being broken into every single day. You know, I mean, I've told people before, I could find it, but I'm seriously concerned I'd be dead if I tried. Law enforcement needs to do this. I need to get, it's to that point where we need legitimate law enforcement, you know. I mean, there was 11 police that were secret for 6 years. Now it's proven. I think I missed this part. In 2018, the private investigator identified all 11 of the police. In 2019, I saw a report number I didn't have, so I sent in a request to the city for that report number, and I got the police report from the night of the murder attempt from January 28, 2012. It had been subpoenaed in 2013, and they illegally withheld the police report from me. That's what caused the secret police, was I didn't have a police report. Okay, in 2019, I found out there was a police report all along that had been illegally withheld from me. It had incriminating evidence on it. That's why they were withholding it from me. This report showed that 6 of the 11 police caught on camera, okay, and keep in mind they had tried to disable the camera. The log files show they tried to disable the camera. So 6 of the 11 had been their names illegally omitted. The 2 cops that are dead, their names aren't on the police report, but they're seen on camera and identified by the PI, okay? But more importantly, 5 police officers. This is Lieutenant Dickey, Sergeant Davis, it's Dickey, Davis, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale. 5 officers are time-stamped per the police report as being at or inside my home, and they were not seen arriving on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor minutes before, 4 minutes earlier. Okay? And so then the next question is, how can that be? Okay, all my other doors were secured with extra locks. My windows are screwed to the wall where you can't open my windows. It's not even safe, okay, because of the crimes that are going on here and me trying to figure out how they're getting in this house. Okay, so there's no other entrances in the house except one door, and that door is watched by cameras, and these police are in my house and they're not seen arriving. How did they get in the house? From the underground trap door the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I'd been shot from, the now removed trap door. Okay, I believe it was covered up when I was in the 10 days I was in the hospital. Okay, because we know where I was shot from. Absolute proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. Multiple people saying tunnels underground homes are here. Obviously, that was where the trap door was. Okay, where I was shot from. That's where the police come from. What that did was place police under my home, and somebody under my home shot me by surprise with my phone lines cut. Okay, and I think that's part of the reason that they didn't want them police identified. Okay, it might have been police that tried to kill me, and if that's the case, they might have killed the guy that lived here before me. Okay. The other part of that is, as I told you earlier, I had trapped a burglar in my home that day and I didn't know it. Okay, and here's the story on the trapped burglar. Is I come home earlier the day of January 28, 2012. I noticed that a cushion was at a place in my living room or whatever. I knew somebody had been in my house once again. I had been reporting these repeated burglaries at my house for 14 months, okay, to the police. And so I get this idea to tie wire my spare doors shut. I'm trying to figure out which room they're coming in from. This is a 3-bedroom home, 2-bathroom, and I live here by myself and a single, and I only need 1 bedroom and 1 bath. Okay. And, and the ex-wife had already told me there's a trap door here. I just didn't know where it was at. So I'm trying to compartmentalize my home to figure out where this hidden trap door is located. Okay, so I spend a couple hours and I tie wire them spare doors shut. What I don't know is I trapped a burglar behind in the guest bathroom when I tie wired the door shut. Okay, I found that out after I returned from the hospital because the door was halfway torn off the wall. The hinges were torn off the wall. And then on the inside of the bathroom door, on the top door jamb, are pry marks where they were trying to pry open the door because I had it tie wired shut. And that's how I know that I'd trapped a burglar in that bathroom prior to me being shot. And I think they tried to use that as an excuse because here's the scenario. I'm on the other side of the door with a gun and every right to protect my life and property. Okay, here they are. Okay, they got $1 million underground homes. They got this large secret police murder gang. They have the entire press in America helping them murder one homeowner after another. Right? They got this incredible technology, the hacking security cameras, and a piece of tie wire trapped them. It's a dire situation. If they arrest the criminal and send them to prison for 10 years, as should have happened, okay, because this is a private home, then it's going to expose that. And not only expose the underground homes here, it's going to expose all these other homes that are rigged too, I mean, there's homes all over the country rigged, okay? I think that's when they decided to kill me. They made the choice to kill me because of that burglar's trap. And so there's the trap burglar story. There's one other story that was 2 weeks earlier that I suspect a landman attorney died in this house. Okay, and I believe they come in that same trap door, and I recognized that somebody was trying to come in my bedroom. I secured my door, built a safe room. I put electricity on the doorknob handle. Okay, and then 2 weeks later, I'm shot. I get out of the hospital, and I'm checking the obituaries to see if anybody died on that day, and I see where this young landman attorney had died. Okay, Matt Hyman was his name. Okay. And I posted on Facebook, question if Matt had died in my home, okay? And but I didn't know how he died or where he died, And his sister-in-law was my nurse, and she tells me, she said, yeah, he died of a surprise heart failure nobody knew he had. Well, that's what electricity does. It stops the heart, I mean, that's what happens, and then I'm like, well, what time did he die? Well, he died at the same time I had electricity on my doorknob. Okay. And then two of his friends, Matt's friends, threatened me. They are desperate to stop me from asking questions, okay, about Matt Hyman dying in this house. And so possible the murder attempt of my life was revenge, because they were angry their friend died. They were in some sick kind of serial killer type of way, blaming me for their friend dying when they had broken into my home. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. And but then on the night that I'm shot and I'm at the hospital, there was a detective there named Rosie Rodriguez, and Rosie Rodriguez had said, I was telling her I had tie-wired them doors shut, them spare doors shut. And just out of the blue, in an anger tone of voice, she said, "Did you put electricity on it?" And that's when I knew she knew what happened 2 weeks earlier when I put electricity on my doorknob, when I believed that Matt Hyman died in my hallway. Okay, that was more confirmation. Matt died in my house, and I'm thinking they were, blaming me because he died in my home. They're breaking in my home, And see, oilfield landman, they're kind of like the wheelers, dealers of the oil field between your producers and your oil companies, okay? And they're like car salesmen, really, okay? They're the ones that I would see at the underground oil show parties, and the forced prostitution. Like, give me this lease for that oil land, and I'll give you this little 12-year-old, etc., I mean, that's who I suspect landmen are connected with this prostitution at these oil show parties. And he was a landman, so was his friends that were threatening me, So I'm feel sure there's another death right there that I think's connected to this, Another story, Any questions?
I don't think I have any questions for you, but I did want to mention that, we kind of gave you this call to kind of relieve some of your stress and let you know that we would be able to cancel your account without any penalties, just kind of lower the stress level that you have, because we do understand this is a serious situation that you're dealing with.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've always had the option to cancel my account, okay? But what I want is an investigation done into, what I believe this hacking that was going on in 2012, that I believe is going on in many other homes across the nation. Okay, that's connected to Vivint. I want to see Vivint stand up to the plate, because, the truth is, I'll end up making a YouTube video on it, And I'm going to tell the truth, Either y'all going to be the hero or you're going to be the company that could care less if people are being murdered in homes and they're breaking in homes all over the nation, I'm just trying to see which side of the, y'all on. Are you on the side to try to get this resolved, and these crimes stopped? Or are you, going, no, how about you just cancel our account? We'll just call it even, and you go limp through life, threatened with your life, And so, that's why I suggested to you that, that one, I think you should take this up to your management, to your upper management, I personally do, because I think later when it's going to come out sooner or later. There is an underground home in the backyard that you can see on Google Maps. Someday this will be famous, okay? And one part of this famous story is going to be Vivint, okay? And I believe it's going to be real clear then, because I already have proof they're hacking my Samsung cameras, that they were hacking the Vivint system, a third-party national system. Okay? And that means they're hacking them all over the place. I believe that. I don't have proof of that. But I believe if they're hacking it here, then they're hacking it everywhere. They're using the same thing. So I'm just hoping that Vivint, steps up to the plate and works, with me to get this resolved, We need an investigation. We need to find out, verify what I'm talking about, Go back to your text and it says, is it possible to enable and disable systems without it showing up on the log files? Like Buddy said, because I was here. See, I'm a 20-year IT guy. Microsoft certified system engineer, certified Novell engineer. I took care of a computer network. I'm a technical guy. Okay? I mean, I am. And which is coming real handy when I needed to, save my life and put electricity on my doorknob, or create videos and show what's going on here, And I know even from your other calls, y'all recording this, right?
Right, all of our calls are recorded.
Right, and I also record, I recorded, I recorded a guy running for sheriff, right? Tell him their last sheriff used to hang out in these homes, secretly recorded, And, I recorded an FBI agent, I've recorded just incredible amount of people giving me information, And because I want the public to see what I'm seeing, Because really, I was home and minding my own business, that's all there is to it, my life has been destroyed more than you can even imagine. And part of that, I think, is here I get this Vivint system, and all of a sudden, it's sitting there stupid, my other systems are going off, and I'm thinking it was being hacked. Back in 2012, and now, it's dispatching the police without my knowledge, multiple times. So that's really where, that's up to you and your management, whatever y'all want to do, but, I know it's not going to be a secret on my side. I'll say that, and I really sincerely believe this will be a famous story someday. It's just too incredible, and there's too much evidence, and it's not Buddy said, she said. I record people. I take print screens and screenshots. I document, That's what I've been doing. My life's in danger. Oh. So that's, like I said, I always have the option of canceling. I've never canceled. I've considered it evidence. The whole thing's evidence, There's one of my videos out there. I don't know if you know, it's called Vivint Alarm System. I had it for years. And it's a call on Christmas Eve 2012. And I'm talking to the Vivint person over my panel. And the alarm went off in the attic. Okay? And I'm telling them, they're asking me if they want to dispatch the police. And I'm telling them on this call, no. I said, the police have been here a couple times and they won't do nothing. I just document it and put it back in service. That's what I'm telling them. And then I'm like, Merry Christmas. That was Christmas Day 2012. Okay? And so it's had thousands of views itself, but that's an old video, I was just hoping that Vivint would step up to the plate and want to get this resolved. Because if you ignore it, then you're knowingly ignoring the fact that they're doing this all over the country with your systems, breaking in homes for burglary, theft, and murders. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and bring it up to my upper management and their management as well so that we can get you taken care of.
Yes, I appreciate it. And like I said, I highly suggest you contacting the FBI. This is, not as far as I'm certain, this is a federal case. I mean, it's more, these homes that I've documented of people reporting people in the attic are not just here in Midland, Odessa. The reason I have more here is because my police scanner only goes for 20 miles, and so that's why I have a lot more people in the attic calls in this area right here. But I got people from California to Alabama. I got a woman in Alabama climbed in her attic and she made videos, sent them to me, showing this man-sized crawl space down her bedroom wall. That's what I was talking about. That's how they're rigging the homes. And then a couple in California, other states, Oregon. Actually, a guy in Oregon writes me and he says, I wasn't really worried about it until our kids started seeing people in their bedrooms at night. And buddy, I started taking measurements and I found this 24-inch dead space behind the wall. Yeah, I got a print screen on that. Well, anyways, that's the point. That's the point I want you to emphasize to your management. This ain't just this house. This is many homes, and I have a really strong feeling that it's not only, and I got a feeling they're not only hacking your system, they're hacking other people's security systems. Okay, this is a huge, very how do I put it? Large crime ring with a lot of resources and a lot of technical resources. I'm an IT guy. Like I said, I proved they were hacking that security system. Let me give you one more example of how I proved they're hacking this system. In my attic, I had these motion detectors that were portable, and if you get in front of them, the light flashes, and there's an audible alarm, and I can move them around. So anybody walks in front of them, beep, 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 and it flashes an alarm. And I had several of them. I also had a camera system up there. Could never catch anybody in this camera system. Okay, but when I'm down here, okay, in the main part of the house, I could hear the burglar alarms go off in the attic, okay, where them cameras are out there. Okay, one day the burglar alarm's going off, beep, beep, beep. You can see the flashing on the motion detector, and I'm pointing out on this video, on this proof video, I'm saying, look here, that one's flashing, and that one's flashing, and that one's flashing. So we got three. You can see it. 3 cameras are showing the same, this flashing motion detector. But the next day, same alarm goes off, and only 2 cameras show it. Well, how can that be? Because one of the cameras is frozen. That's what they're doing. They're remote control into the unit, and there's a software command that allows you to freeze the camera. It stops all writing to the DVR is what it does. And when you do that, then you can get in front of the camera, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't record anything. Okay? I mean, and so it appears nothing's going on. And that's what's been going on. They're freezing the cameras, and then they get in there, and then you go up to test it, and they just turn it back on. Okay, oh, now it works. See, turn it on, turn it off. It's just like when I believe they're hacking your system. They can enable and disable the motion detectors using your laptop. I saw it. I was here. Okay, I saw them do it. Okay, and it never shows up in my log files. And back in 2012, I requested on a phone call, which is probably recorded. Y'all should have the recording. I requested the programming logs, and I never got them. Because the programming logs would tell me when it was turned on, when it's turned off. Yeah, and I never got them. But that's what I was requesting. And I think the same thing's going on. So I think if they're hacking the Samsung camera system, another third-party system, right? There's millions of them sold. They're all over the place. This is going on all over the country. That you need to emphasize that. And you're in the home security business, so I think it should be a big deal for you. I mean, I'm thinking that you ought to be going here. Thank you, Mr. Webb. I appreciate you letting us know that. We're going to get right on top of this. Yeah, because this affects your company. This is your business, home security.
Right, and we do take it seriously, and we are going to look into it further with my management.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Feel free to, if you have any questions, then I'm here to try to get this answered. It's good. One way or the other. I tell you what's not going to happen is I'm not going to limp off in fear. Okay, that's what they want me to do. Okay, that won't happen. Okay, and not after what's gone on for 10 years. And not as much. Information that's come out. And the bottom line is I've kept my faith in God, and I believe that God is doing something big here. Back when 2012, all I had was this crazy story. Burglar alarms going off in my attic. Somebody under my home shot me. I didn't have 50 other homeowners documented. I didn't have a guy running for sheriff saying that, there's underground facilities here. I didn't have all this documentation, all this proof, but I do now. You can see where one of them underground homes are here, and it's still here. That's why the crimes are still going on against me, is because it's still here. And that's why this, we need law enforcement, legitimate law enforcement, and I would sincerely appreciate a large company like Vivint getting involved, contacting the FBI, there is a national problem here. We need you guys doing something about it, and that's what I advise your management to do. Yeah, because I can see the, potential liability, if you knowingly look the other way, right? And come to find out they were breaking into homes all over the country that you had Vivint systems in. That's going to look terrible for your company. I can't say that's going to happen. I'm just saying, I got a feeling that what was happening here is happening on the other homes. And we know there's a bunch of them. And that's only the ones I know about. That's because my story has been censored. Because I don't get national news or even local news when I should. This should be major headline news. It's incredible. It's fact-based. There's no doubt of the truth about it. I don't know how anybody can doubt it. The evidence is there. And so... Anyways, I'm still waiting a call back from your tech, right? They're supposed to come over here and check the system out. Is that right?
Yeah, we can go ahead and get a technician scheduled right now.
Well, I think it was already done. That was my understanding. Like when I talked to that lady last Wednesday night on the phone, that was when the police were called. You can look up the record or whatever.
Okay, well let me take a look and see what we have.
Yeah, because I talked to a supervisor last Wednesday because the police were called here, and the tech, obviously it was either a hardware malfunction or the tech did it without knowing, and as I said, that is a major problem because there's a dead cop here because of a similar situation, and there's a guy looking at murder charges. And that is so wrong, as in my personal opinion, they should not be charging that guy, that homeowner with murder, because that security system sent the police to his house without him knowing, and then they tried to come in the door and he didn't know it was cops and shot one. It's a terrible accident, but it sure, he shouldn't be going to prison for life,
Here, it looks like someone was out. What was it, last week?
Wednesday they contacted me and wanted to change the a chip in the panel, and after he left, the police showed up, and I never touched it. So either you have a bad chip, or he sent the alarm in to the police and didn't know it. And I suspect that's what it was. He sent the alarm and didn't know it, because a couple years earlier, I had put a code in and it sent the police and I didn't know it. And I had been given that code from Vivint. So I think that was my guess, is that he put this code in and he didn't know that it was going to dispatch the police, just like I didn't know it, but he left, And you can imagine here at my home, where I have 1 million views, and I identified 11 secret police, and then the police show up at my house, right? They know who I am. Don't you think? With the $1 million underground home in the backyard put in for the bushes, used for oil show parties. Yeah, they know who I am. I'm the guy that recorded a sheriff candidate. I recorded an FBI agent once telling me he was going to shred evidence. That's another video. Can you imagine that? Not shred, but destroy. Okay.
We can go from there.
Okay, that'll be fine. Yeah, and I wouldn't even worry about it until next week after the holidays. And because here we are, Wednesday, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, right? Black Friday's Friday, weekends here, and so it's just the system is whatever, it's unarmed or even disabled. I don't even know right now, but it hadn't been in service. When I say in service, hadn't been armed in a long time. I've just kept it for the phone, backup phone. So yeah, please do that. Send that up, and let them listen to this whole thing. I'm free to answer questions. I'm free to help you. To help get this resolved, not only for me but for all these other homeowners across the nation. And and like I said, I think it's for your business, for your, being in the home security business. This is the stuff that, that y'all want to jump on. If there's a new style of way of breaking in homes, a way to bypass security systems, for home invasions like's going on, and then it's used for these burglary, thefts, and murders, then that's the stuff y'all need to know about, right? And that's the stuff you lean on the FBI and say, y'all guys need to get on top of this. This is ridiculous. Because you're going to find out there's a whole bunch of other homeowners out there reporting people in the attic, and I got a feeling a whole bunch of them had Vivint alarm systems. Okay, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you answering my call.
Okay, and you'll call me probably next week, I guess? Monday?
Yeah, we will look into this, and we'll message you probably over social media again, just to kind of give you an update.
That'll be fine. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. So thank you again for letting me help you. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is none of your business. No, you're right. You don't teach your business. Burglar, theft, and murders. Well, there we got the call. Here, let me hit the timestamp. 4:56, November 24th, and just got the phone with Vivint, and so we're waiting on the next call.